Now, that is so gay. Anyone with a child at school may well have heard the expression in the playground or just joshing around. It doesn't mean gay in the current usage, nor in the other sense of happy. It has evolved to mean the opposite as a term of abuse, a weapon with which to bully. Now, bullying, you might say, is something that can just happen. But the use of this particular word particularly offends many who are gay. The singer Will Young is one of them. He's here. Also with us is the journalist Milo Yiannopoulos. Now, what is it you don't like about it?
I don't like it because it's so closely linked, particularly for young people, to the description of one's sexuality, sexual preference, as wanting to sleep with the same sex, with a member of the same sex. There's no clear definition between the two, and this is backed up by statistics. 87% of young people feel when they hear the phrase "that's so gay" or "stop being so gay," any use of it in a pejorative term, feel like an outsider and feel distressed by it.
As a gay man, do you not find it troubling?
Well, yeah, I do, but that's not why I don't like this. The reason I don't like this, the problem is, you know, being young is all about being transgressive and being naughty and engaging in the forbidden, right? And I said it was for me, it was for everybody I know. And the problem with these sorts of things is just at the time when young people, and you know, we're getting surveys that say that young people really don't care about race, about ethnicity, about sexuality. Then yes, they do use these words, and yes, they can be hurtful. The problem is just at the point when young people are stopping caring, we're providing them with these enormous targets by creating this massive stink about, you know, and branding the children, of course, because the other thing about this is, you know, when you get these sort of well-intentioned things that percolate down to bureaucracies in local schools, and you get children branded racist, branded homophobe, incredibly damaging, awful things.
You get actions. There's a huge difference between someone being homophobic and someone's actions being homophobic. And I think the problem is that people talk about policing in the playground, punishment. This isn't either of those things. It's purely about education.
Sure, I understand that, but that's not really the problem.
Children aren't born wanting to be prejudiced or even learn the word, the phrase "that's so gay" as meaning negative. It's taught. It's just about educating people that young gay people find it offensive, and children will.
I mean, I read in your Guardian column you said, you know, that children fundamentally want to be nice. They want to be nice to each other. I'm not sure that's the case. I think it's quite an important part of growing up. The sort of as people start to, you know, experiment with dangerous language, they argue with each other, they position themselves against other people. And if you provide them with these enormous words on mainstream TV news stations, because you've written in national newspapers these awful, naughty words, what's a kid going to do? Use it.
How does it work with racism then? How does it work with sexism? How does it work with anti-religious rhetoric in schools?
I think it works the same way.
That 30 years ago was used in schools when I was there, and now is absolutely not tolerated through education.
Well, I think some of it works the same way. I mean, if you look last week, a headmistress or a headmaster had to write a letter apologising to parents because they were threatening to brand children racist for not showing up to multicultural events. I think the point of all of this stuff is that it drives a wedge between people and it creates division at precisely the time when young people don't care anymore. We've won these battles, and that's great news.
We haven't won the battle.
Why present these?
What battles have we won?
I mean, I think you're putting targets on gay people's backs.
No, I'm not.
By presenting this tantalising, naughty thing that young people are just going to look at and going to want to call each other because they know it's forbidden.
I'm so puzzled by your definition of what it is to be naughty. There's a huge difference between stealing a boiled sweet from the local newsagent and doing something that is offensive to over, let's say, 2 million. There are over 2 million gay people in the country. You know, what's wrong with that? If someone's being offensive towards someone, that's not just being naughty. That should be highlighted and pointed out, not punished. I don't know what the targets are.
But the real effect of what you're doing is to police language. You sort of dismiss this as unimportant.
No, it's not
the
policing.
Effect of what you do is to police language when, and look, obviously what you're doing comes from the best possible place, right? It comes from no, it's not patronising, because I agree with you that this is offensive and this is awful, but the problem is when it percolates down into the bureaucracies and the incompetence of schools, right?
What are the bureaucracies?
And these things, well, for example, with kids being branded racist if their parents don't send them to multicultural awareness days.
That's one example.
Well, it is one example. So we're talking about whether or not this should happen. A worry would be that schools start to codify this stuff, that people get homophobic homophobic notes in their school records that go with them through life because they called somebody gay in the playground.
Now,
You
what it would
cannot
be.
tell me
I'll tell
that's
you what it
not
would
going
do.
to happen,
It
because
will-
it has happened.
It would,
with
no,
the
I
other
can't
examples
predict.
that you
I can't
raised.
predict every case in the
No.
school, but what I can predict, given Stonewall's, who I'm doing this campaign with, history, 5 years they spent with a school working on homophobic language, and homophobia in that school has gone down by at least 33%. So it works. And also what you're doing is you're not telling children, you're just educating them. And what you will produce, which is what I've said time and time again, is more free thinking, free-willed young people who will accept people for who they are.
It's a
rather
funny
than what the
definition of free
differences are.
thinking, clamping down on language, isn't it?
No, 'cause you can still think- you can still-
you wrote
you
yourself
can
that
still
language
think
is
about it.
everything. That's
Yeah,
all we
yeah,
have.
it is. You can
And
still-
clamping down on the ways that
It's
people
not
use to
clamping
express
down.
themselves, however ugly it is.
It's not clamping
It's
down.
an essential part of
Where's the
adolescence.
clamping down? Where's the clamping down?
You guys are going to have to continue this discussion.
We're going for a drink now.
Exchange, yes, exactly, over a drink. Thank you both very much.